Friends, one of my favourite TV shows, lives on to this day. Over 10 years after airing its final episode, Friends is still available to watch on TV, download on iTunes, and even stream on Netflix. Ladies and gentlemen, it is a good day to be alive. If you have never watched Friends, it's the show I recommend above any other. It doesn't take much research to discover how loved this show is by millions of people of all ages from all around the world. One of the best TV shows ever. Best TV series ever. Once in a lifetime phenomenon. Best television comedy series to date. Probably the greatest sitcom ever. Best show I have ever seen. A must-watch series. The greatest show ever. The best American TV has to offer. Greatest show on planet Earth. Now, to create this list, I spent a long time narrowing down Friends episodes, so only my favourite 5 were left. It was a near impossible task, but do not fear, I have done it, and here are the episodes. Coming in at number 5, the one with Phoebe's birthday dinner. A great episode for so many reasons, and each of the characters get their moment in the comedy spotlight. First off, this is a classic Chandler episode. Everything from the smoking in the boardroom in Tulsa to the snarky lines over dinner. Matthew Perry was on form in this episode, and it's one of the reasons why the episode works so well. But my favourite moment of this episode is the story that Ross makes up about what happens to the baby when they're locked out of the apartment. There's no doubt it's one of my favourite Ross moments of all time, and only David Schwimmer could have pulled off such a satirical monologue. David Schwimmer also directed this episode. Another nice thing about this episode in particular is that it's relatively dark for a Friends episode. Nearly every character in the episode is bitter or angry at another character, yet the story and especially the ending remains sweet, and the comedy is of the first class standard that you've come to expect from Friends episodes. The one with Phoebe's birthday dinner, great episode. At number 4 we have the one where Ross got high. Some of the greatest Friends episodes are the Thanksgiving episodes, and this one is my favourite Thanksgiving episode. With Joey and Ross anxious to leave, mixed with Rachel screwing up the dessert, the episode sets itself up for some impeccable scenes of comedy. Plus, this episode is home to some hilarious bloopers if you ever get the chance to watch them. Mr. and Mrs. Geller are always a great addition to an episode, and the moment where everything falls to pieces and Mrs. Geller stands up in an attempt to be the mother figure of the group wonderfully wraps up what is a more wacky and eccentric Friends episode, and I think it's wonderful. At number 3, the one with the videotape. A classic episode. Chandler and Monica come back from their honeymoon and start questioning each other's flaws after being given a fake number, which leads to some golden moments of comedy. Plus the wonderful build-up and reveal of who came onto whom that led to Ross and Rachel having the baby. It's the episode with Joey's story about backpacking across Western Europe, along with Regina Philandri and Ken Adams. The episode is scattered with perfect one-liners, and the scene where they all sit down to watch the videotape is flawless. Altogether, the episode hits out of the park, and it definitely deserves a spot on my top 5 list. Sitting at number 2 on my list is the one when no one's ready. A true classic episode of not only Friends, but 90s American sitcoms in general. This is the earliest episode on the list by far, and is a classic example of a bottle episode. A bottle episode is a television episode designed to be produced at a minimum cost. Like most 4-camera sitcoms, Friends was limited to a few key sets, especially in the earlier seasons. Those sets being the 2 apartments and the coffee house. However, the fascinating thing about this episode was it was the first Friends episode to take place entirely in one apartment, along with the only cast of the episode being the 6 friends. And that's one of the reasons I love this episode so much. The fact that they could write an entire episode with only the 6 characters in that one apartment, I think is ingenious. This episode is also home to some of the most famous Friends moments, such as the battle between Joey and Chandler for the chair, which climaxes with Joey wearing all of Chandler's clothes. An ingenious episode that showcases many of the quirks of each of the characters gets the runner-up spot on my list. And finally, at number 1, my favourite Friends episode, the last one. On the 6th of May 2004, 52.5 million Americans sat down to watch the finale of one of the greatest sitcoms ever to find its way into the hearts of literally millions of people. It's the only episode I can't get through without tearing up, and in my opinion it was the perfect way to wrap up the story without missing any opportunity to make us laugh. And that includes the final one-word line from Chandler, which is probably my favourite line in the entire series. It's true brilliance on screen, and you can bet that I will be making sure that my kids get the Friends education that I think everyone should have. The last one is also the reason I actually don't want a Friends reunion episode or special. I thought the show was gifted with a perfect ending and that it bowed out gracefully. They knew when to call it a day, and in doing so, they assured that the show would never just decline in quality as time went on. I personally don't think that anything that could be produced today could come close to the magic witnessed on that summer's evening back in 2004. Well, that was the list of my top 5 favourite Friends episodes. I'd love to hear your thoughts down in the comment section about your 5 favourite Friends episodes. There's so many, there's 236, so narrow it down to 5 is a very difficult task I found, but I did put some honourable mentions in the description if you're wondering what other Friends episodes I liked. I liked them all, but I loved these ones. Thanks for watching, my name's Owen, and I'll see you in the next video.